Some records announce themselves. You can feel them coming from 3 innings away. The crowd starts doing the math. The scoreboard becomes secondary. Broadcasters lower their voices slightly, the way people lower their voices when something large is approaching and they want to make sure they are present for it when it arrives. Everyone in the stadium knows. Everyone watching at home knows. The moment is already forming before it actually happens. And then it happens. And the stadium exhales. But this story isn't about the home run. It isn't about the number 700, or the record, or the history, or the list of names that Shohei Ohtani quietly moved past on a warm night in Philadelphia without making it feel like a ceremony. Those things happened. They matter. They will be discussed for a long time by people who understand what that number means inside the long and complicated history of this sport. This story is about what happened after. About a pitcher named Christopher Sanchez. About baseball. About a reaction that nobody in that clubhouse expected. And about a teammate who watched all of it and then tried to put into words something that most people already feel but struggle to explain. This story is about who Shohei Ohtani actually is when the record is already broken and the cameras are still rolling, and the easiest thing in the world would be to simply accept what just happened and move on. He didn't move on. Not the way anyone expected. First, the record itself. Because it deserves its moment. 10 home runs into the season. The Dodgers in Philadelphia. A night that already carried weight before the first pitch was thrown, the kind of weight that builds when a player is close to something historic and the entire baseball world quietly rearranges its schedule to pay attention. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound for the Phillies. He is not a soft presence in this league. He is not a pitcher you face and immediately begin calculating your exit strategy. He brings the kind of stuff that makes lineups uncomfortable, that forces hitters to make decisions quickly and live with the consequences. On most nights, against most hitters, that is enough. This was not most nights. This was not most hitters. Ohtani reads the pitch the way he reads pitches, with the particular stillness that exists in him just before everything accelerates. The swing happened. The contact happened. And then the ball was gone, climbing through the Philadelphia night air at a velocity and angle that made the calculation simple and immediate. Gone. 700. The fastest any player in the history of this sport had ever reached that number. Not faster than some players. Faster than all of them. Faster than names that belong on the short list of the greatest who ever played. Faster than men who dedicated their entire careers to accumulating exactly this kind of number and never reached it at the pace Ohtani just did. The stadium reacted. The Dodgers dugout reacted. And somewhere in the outfield, a fan reacted by catching a baseball that was about to become one of the most significant objects in the sport. The ball made its way back. As commemorative balls do. Through the hands of stadium staff, through the careful chain of custody that exists for moments exactly like this one. Back toward the dugout. Back toward the man who hit it. And that is where the story truly begins. Christopher Sanchez was the one who delivered it. Think about that for a moment. The pitcher who threw the pitch. The man who was, in the most direct sense, the opponent in that exchange. The player whose name will appear forever in the footnote of this record, not because of anything he did wrong, but simply because he was the one standing 60 feet away when history was made. He brought the ball over after the game. It was a gesture of respect. The kind that exists between competitors who understand the game at its deepest level. A nod to the moment. An acknowledgement that what just happened was larger than one team winning and one team losing. That some nights produce things that belong to the sport itself and not just to one dugout. Sanchez handed him the ball. And Ohtani's reaction was not what anyone in that room was prepared for. He didn't hold it up. He didn't examine it the way a man examines an object he intends to keep. He didn't immediately think about where it would go, which case, which shelf, which corner of a room dedicated to the accumulation of a career's worth of significant objects. He looked at Sanchez. And the first thing he said had nothing to do with the record. Nothing to do with 700. Nothing to do with fastest or history or the list of names he had just joined. The first words out of his mouth were directed entirely at the pitcher standing in front of him, who had just come over from the losing side to do something genuinely gracious. He thanked him. Not quickly. Not with the efficient gratitude of a man who is already thinking about the next thing. He thanked him the way you thank someone when you actually mean it. When the words are connected to something real inside you and not just produced because the moment requires them. People in that clubhouse went quiet. Because they understood what they were watching. Because they have been around enough great players to know that this particular combination of achievement and humility, of record-breaking and genuine thankfulness toward the man who threw the pitch, is not the standard. It is not what you typically see when someone reaches a milestone of this magnitude. What you typically see is celebration first. Gratitude later, if at all. Ohtani reversed the order. Mookie Betts was watching. He has been watching all season. In the way that teammates watch when they share a clubhouse with someone who operates at a level that even other elite players find difficult to fully process. He has sat in that dugout and watched Ohtani do things with a bat and with a ball that technically fall within the rules of baseball but feel like they belong to a slightly different category of human performance. But it wasn't the home run that Betts wanted to talk about after the game. It was the moment with the ball. Betts spoke carefully. The way he always speaks when the subject is important to him, with the deliberateness of someone who wants to get it right, who doesn't want the words to be smaller than the thing they are trying to describe. He talked about what it is like to share a clubhouse with Ohtani. About what it does to a team when the best player in the building is also the most grounded person in the building. He said that what people see on the field is only part of it. The home runs are real. The records are real. The statistics that continue to accumulate at a pace that makes historians reach for comparisons they've never had to make before, all of it is real. But what doesn't appear in any box score, what no camera fully captures, is the way Ohtani carries himself between the lines. The way he treats people. The way he responds to moments that would make lesser people, not lesser players, lesser people, behave differently. Betts said that what he saw in that clubhouse, in the moment after the commemorative ball was delivered, told him more about Ohtani's character than any home run ever could. He said the first thing Ohtani did was make Sanchez feel like the most important person in the room. The pitcher. The opponent. The man from the other side who had just given up a piece of history. Ohtani made him feel seen. The records will stand until someone moves them. The numbers will remain in the books. The night in Philadelphia will be referenced in broadcasts for years, pulled out of the archive whenever Ohtani approaches the next milestone, which will arrive on its own schedule and carry its own weight. But Christopher Sanchez will remember a different number. Not 700. The number of seconds Ohtani spent making him feel like what he did mattered. Like walking over with that baseball was not a small thing. Like the gesture was received by someone who understood exactly what it cost to make it and was genuinely grateful. That number doesn't fit in a box score. It never will.